Hey, Steve Stine from GuitarZoom here. Thank you so much for joining me for the fourth video in this 4-video series, okay? In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to take the pentatonic and we're going to start expanding it to add some more color into the notes that we're playing. Now, I've had 3 other videos. The first video, I talked about meandering. The second video, to develop your fretboard. The second video, I talked about phrasing. And the third video, we started talking about some effects that we can use in our playing to try and make our notes and our movements sound more colorful and creative. And all of this is in celebration of the launch of my guitar course, Guitar Solos Made Easy 2.0, which teaches all about guitar soloing, whether you're a beginner who's just learning about soloing or whether you've been doing it for a while, but there's just things that you're missing in your playing. Maybe your solos just tend to sound like scales, or they all sound the same all the time, or they're just missing some sort of energy, right? That's what the guitar course is all about, is trying to help you with that. So do me a favor. If it sounds like something you might be interested in, find the link near this video, check it out, and see if it's something that you might be interested in. So let's go on with the lesson here. So we've been talking about pentatonic, because a lot of people, when they first start learning how to play and they're learning how to solo, that's primarily what they're doing. Well, there's some things that you can add to this pentatonic that are pretty safe, and they sound wonderful, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add in what's called the blues note, or the blue note. And so what we do is we take this pentatonic and we add in this note right here. So it's right there. Now, if you know anything about theory, this is called your flatted fifth, okay? It's quite an ugly sound over the root or the A that we're starting on. But what's great about it is you're using it in passing. You're passing over it with other notes. Okay, so it's not meant to be a note that you try and target and emphasize. What you're doing is just using it in conjunction with other things. So you might play a passage, or we're moving toward the floor, or maybe just something like this. See how I'm just moving up like that? Using some hammer-ons and pull-offs that we talked about in the last video. Now, it's a great note. Now, what I like to do, just thought I'd show you some of the things that I like to do with this stuff. I'll play that note, but I'm going to do it in the next octave. So what happens is I go up to this A, and it's right there. Now, what I like to do with this note is I use it as a slide. Remember we were talking about slides in the last video? And I love to slide back and forth between it. Okay? Okay? Now, another way I can use that is, let's say it was coming down the pentatonic here. And I've got now 3 notes on this string. That I can add in as well. Okay? So there's lots of different ways that you can use that note, and you don't have to use it all the time. Because you learn a new note, one of the things that people do wrong is that they tend to overkill, like they use it all the time. If you always think that the pentatonic is a great place to start with any solo, in any style of music, and as you add other notes, what it does is it adds color, it adds interest to a listener. If you use the note all the time, that note may wind up losing its luster. It may not be as effective anymore because it just sounds like everything else. But if you bring it out and the listener hasn't heard it in a while, or they haven't heard it at all of a sudden they go, wow, that sounds really neat, right? So if you were playing and you're going, and you're just pentatonic, and then you move into, it might sound really, really cool, okay? Now the next note I want to show you, again, don't get hung up on the title of it. We're going to call it a ninth, but don't worry about what that means at this point. Again, that's a whole topic of discussion on its own. But understand, if we're playing in pentatonic, what we're going to do, we're going to look at it up here first, because it'll be easier. So if we're in pentatonic and I play 5/8, 5/8, that would be the top of my pentatonic scale. What I'm going to do is, on this first string, instead of playing 5/8, I'm going to add in this 7. And what that does is, for the first time with the pentatonic scale, is it adds in a half step. And half steps in music sound very melodic. if you think about the pentatonic as a whole, the pentatonic never has any half steps. There's always larger whole step, if you know what I mean, 2 frets, or 3 fret motions. Everything in between is that big. Now, this blues note's a little different, but it also sounds a little different. This 9th, and again, don't get hung up on the name, but that 9th adds a nice melody or melodic sound, a melodic color to your scale. So what I like to do with that 9th, I might play up. Right? Or what I like to do is I'll take that 9th, and as we talked about in the last video, I'll do some bending with it. So now I can actually bend up a half step to become the 8. Now, that note right there, which in this case is B, that's actually located 1 octave lower, which is really cool too, right here. So this is a really nice one to add too, because if you were playing on your pentatonic right here, you just have to drop back with your first finger. So you see, those are 2 notes, and we're going to talk about all kinds of different things like that in the guitar course, but those are 2 notes that you can add into your pentatonic that sound really nice. And again, be aware, there's a couple of different things. Number one, you don't have to overplay them. Use them sparingly to really try and make them stick out. And the next thing is understand how you're going to play them with your fingers, right? If I was going to this one, a great way of going to that is just to slide back with my first finger, because I'm in this position. And I can just drop back in there. Now, if I want to come back into my position, I might slide back up. Or I might, go to my first finger as a hammer-on or something. And now I'm on my pinky. But I can always transfer or transition after that particular phrase, right? So we're always getting used to what fingers we're using and why. And they're going to change. Like, there's no absolutes to this, because we never really know necessarily where we're coming from and where we're going to go to. But we do understand if we slide down to that 4, it's pushed us out of position a little bit. Where if we're playing up here, right, we're still in position. We just have to get used to being able to use that 3rd finger. And I start using some of my old school stuff with my sliding. And I can get some nice sounds. It's certainly more effective than what I started with when I was just playing rudimentary practice, right, that we talked about in the first video. So all of a sudden, it's beginning to sound more and more like something real. Now, I don't need to feel overloaded with all of these things. Well, I got to do bending, and I got to do vibrato, and I have to do slides, and I got to add this new note in. What I recommend to people is maybe just take a piece of paper and write down all of these different ideas that are floating around in your head. Write them all on a piece of paper. And then when you go to jam over something, a backing track that, again, is in a key that's comfortable for you, at a tempo that's comfortable for you, start using some of these things, right? Think about phrasing that we did in the second video. Think about adding some of these various vocal techniques that we talked about in the third video, right? And now all of a sudden you start using some of these notes, and you don't have to do them all at the same time. That's the beauty of this, is you'll keep getting better, and this stuff will keep becoming automated as you keep using them, right? So anyway, hopefully this helps you. Hopefully these last 4 videos have been beneficial to you. Please do me a favor. If you're interested in learning some more about soloing from me, check the guitar course out by clicking on the link near this video. And once again, keep practicing, stay positive, and have a great day, all right? So take care.